All right, before we dive headfirst into this, do me a favor. If you're watching or listening, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where in the world you're tuning in from and what time it is for you right now. Seriously, I want to know. Okay, good? Good. The year is 2032. You wake up in the middle of a jarring green chaos, a tangle of vines and colossal trees that claw at the sky, thick as ancient pillars. The first thing you register isn't sight, but a taste, a metallic tang in your mouth, sharp and coppery, mixed with the deep, earthy bitterness of mud. You cough, a harsh, dry rasp that scrapes your throat, and feel grit between your teeth. Then comes the smell, overwhelming and immediate, a humid, cloying perfume of damp soil, rotting leaves, exotic flowers you can't name, and something undeniably wild, a musky scent of unseen life. It's so thick you can almost taste it. Your head throbs, a dull ache behind your eyes, and as you try to move, a sharp pain lances through your side. You're lying face down, half buried in a pile of wet, decaying foliage, the ground beneath you soft and yielding. Every inch of your skin feels sticky, with a combination of sweat, dirt, and some unidentifiable jungle grime. You push up, slowly, using your arms to leverage your weight, feeling a dull crunch of leaves and twigs under your palms. The world spins for a second, a dizzying kaleidoscope of vibrant green, broken by flashes of dark, gnarled wood. Overhead, the canopy is so dense that only slivers of sunlight manage to pierce through, dappling the forest floor in an eerie, shifting light. You blink, trying to clear the haze from your vision, and notice the wreckage. Scattered around you are twisted pieces of metal, a jagged wing here, a splintered panel there, all overgrown with an alarming speed by aggressive, tenacious vines. This wasn't a soft landing. This was a brutal plunge, and you're lucky to be in one piece. The air is thick, a heavy, wet blanket that clings to your lungs with every breath. It's hard to draw in, like trying to breathe water. You wipe a streak of mud and blood from your cheek, the rough texture of the grit a stark contrast to the slick humidity. Around you, the forest hums with 1,000 unseen insects, a constant, high-pitched drone that merges with the distant squawking of birds, and a deeper, guttural roar that makes the hairs on your neck stand on end. Every shadow seems to hold something, every rustle of leaves a potential threat. You're alone, truly alone, swallowed by an ecosystem that feels entirely alien, yet strangely, powerfully alive. You realize, as you push through another wall of leaves that seem determined to reclaim the very air you breathe, that survival isn't just about fighting the biggest enemy. Sometimes, it's just about taking the next breath in a place that feels utterly determined to swallow you whole. You push forward, each step a battle against the insistent embrace of the jungle. The ground beneath your boots is a treacherous mix of slick mud and unseen roots, forcing you to lift your feet high. Every stride a deliberate effort. The air, dense and hot, presses in on you, making your lungs burn. It's like trying to walk underwater, with every exhale feeling like a gasp for more oxygen. You can feel the sweat trickling down your back, a constant stream that chafes against your skin, and the damp fabric of your clothes sticks uncomfortably, heavy and restrictive. Every muscle in your legs aches with the sustained exertion, a dull throb that vibrates with each careful landing. A wall of thick, broad leaves, larger than your head, blocks your path. You raise an arm, pushing through them, feeling the cool, slick surface brush against your face, leaving trails of moisture that feel oddly soothing in the oppressive heat. The smell here is even more intense than before, a complex cocktail of decay and vibrant growth, almost sickeningly sweet in its intensity, and you wonder if some of these plants are actually trying to lure something in. You keep your eyes scanning, left and right, trying to pierce the overwhelming green, but it's an endless, shifting curtain. There are no clear paths, no worn trails, just an unbroken wilderness that seems to actively resist your passage. Each vine a tripwire, each branch a potential snag. The sounds are relentless, the metallic buzz of unseen insects, a constant high-pitched thrum that seems to vibrate in your very bones, the distant, guttural calls of unknown animals, a primal chorus that never quite repeats itself, and the incessant drip of moisture from the leaves above, a natural clock ticking away the seconds in this verdant prison. It's a symphony of life, but one that feels profoundly alien and utterly indifferent to your presence or your plight. You stop for a moment, pressing a hand against the rough bark of a giant tree, its trunk wider than you are, covered in a tapestry of emerald moss and strange, iridescent fungi that glow faintly in the muted light. You feel a deep tremor beneath your palm, a faint, rhythmic vibration that seems to emanate from the very earth itself, a low, resonant hum that suggests something ancient and powerful stirring within the jungle's depths. It's a living pulse. You take a swig from your canteen, the lukewarm water tasting faintly metallic. But it's a small, fleeting comfort against the persistent dryness in your throat. Your mind races, trying to piece together the shattered fragments of what happened, why you're here, who you're supposed to be, but the memories are fractured, like shards of glass that offer no complete picture. All that truly matters right now is the next step, the next obstacle, the immediate, grinding need to keep moving. You glance at your hands, rough and grimed with mud and plant matter, and then down at your boots, caked in so much muck that they feel twice their normal weight. This isn't a battlefield with clear enemies and definable objectives. This is a slow, grinding war of attrition against an entire ecosystem, a green, suffocating embrace that seeks to absorb everything, to reclaim you. You realize that in this place, the loudest roar isn't always the most dangerous thing you face. Sometimes it's the quiet, persistent growth, the relentless, suffocating march of nature that truly poses the greatest, most insidious threat. Your throat feels like sandpaper, each swallow a painful, rasping effort that does nothing but stir the metallic dust coating your tongue. That relentless humidity of the jungle. It's a cruel joke when your insides are crying out for water. Your lips are cracked and tight, a constant, nagging reminder of the relentless thirst gnawing at you. Every breath feels thick, heavy, as if the air itself is resisting your desperate attempts to pull moisture from it. You can almost taste the dryness, a phantom sensation that makes your stomach clench. Your body moves slower now, each step heavier than the last, energy draining from your limbs like sand through a sieve. You find yourself scanning the ground, not just for threats, but for anything at all, that might hold liquid. A shimmering puddle, a dew-covered leaf, even the wet sheen of moss. Your eyes dart, desperate, almost hallucinating the glint of water in the dappled light. The constant drone of insects, which before was just background noise, now feels like a physical pressure, amplifying the headache that's begun to throb behind your eyes. Your ears strain, trying to distinguish the distant sound of trickling water from the myriad other sounds of the jungle. The rustle of leaves, the snap of a twig, the chittering of unseen creatures. You push aside another curtain of vines, your fingers brushing against their slick surfaces, hoping for some condensation. Anything. Nothing. Just more green, more suffocating air. The scent of damp earth is still strong, but it only highlights the internal dryness. Your stomach growls, a hollow, insistent ache that joins the chorus of your parched throat. Hunger. It's a primal, cold kind of hunger now. Not a craving, but a fundamental need. Your eyes begin to focus differently, not just on the path, but on the shapes of leaves, the colors of berries, the movement of small creatures in the undergrowth. You remember seeing iridescent fruits, strange and plump, but you don't know which are safe, which are poison. The risk feels enormous, but the need is growing larger, overshadowing caution. You stop, tilting your head back, letting the occasional drip of moisture from the canopy fall onto your face, a fleeting, almost teasing coolness that does nothing to quench the fire in your throat. Your gaze falls on a cluster of large, cupped leaves, bright green and surprisingly robust, clinging to a tree trunk. And there, in the hollow of one, a small, dark pool of liquid. It's barely a few drops, murky and still, but it's water. You reach out, carefully, your fingers trembling slightly as you scoop a tiny amount, bringing it to your lips. It tastes earthy, a little bitter, but it's wet, a blessed temporary reprieve. A wave of profound relief washes over you, a simple, fundamental satisfaction that momentarily silences the gnawing ache of the jungle. In moments like these, you realize the greatest luxury isn't comfort or safety, but the pure, unadulterated sensation of basic needs being met. The small, muddy sip of water you found earlier feels like a distant memory now, a brief illusion of relief that has long since evaporated. The thirst is back, deeper, more pervasive, settling into your bones. Your mouth feels like cotton, thick and pasty, and every swallow is an act of sheer will, grating and painful. The hunger, too, has intensified, a hollow, insistent ache that coils in your gut, pulling your focus away from everything else. It's not just a growl anymore. It's a constant, low thrum, a heavy silence that demands attention louder than any sound. You move through the dense undergrowth, your steps more deliberate, more desperate. Your eyes aren't just looking now, they're hunting. Every leaf, every vine, every patch of soil is scrutinized with an intensity born of pure need. You push aside a heavy curtain of broad, waxy leaves, feeling their cool, slick surface, but finding nothing beneath but more damp earth. The scent of rich soil and decaying vegetation is everywhere, a powerful, earthy perfume, but it only highlights the emptiness within you. Your senses are hyper-alert, but also blurred by the growing exhaustion. You keep expecting to hear the gurgle of a hidden stream or see the flash of a vibrant, edible fruit, but the jungle offers only its relentless green, a mocking abundance of what you can't use. The oppressive humidity, which once felt like a stifling blanket, now seems to mock your internal drought. You can feel your own body working harder, struggling to maintain. Your limbs feel heavy, sluggish, each movement demanding more effort than it should. You swipe at a cloud of tiny, biting insects that swarm around your face, their persistent buzz a minor torment in the larger struggle. You pass by a massive tree, its roots snaking across the forest floor like ancient, muscular serpents, completely ignoring a cluster of dark, purplish berries hanging temptingly from a low branch. You pause, eyeing them, your mind warring between the primal urge to just eat something and the terrifying uncertainty of their toxicity. The silence of the jungle, usually broken by animal calls, seems heavier now, emphasizing the quiet dance of your own desperation. You press your palm against the gritty, moss-covered trunk of another colossal tree, feeling the rough texture, and lean your forehead against it for a moment, letting the cool dampness seep into your skin. Your head spins slightly with the effort, and a wave of dizziness passes through you. You close your eyes, taking a slow, shaky breath. When you open them, the world still looks the same, an endless, indifferent green. It's a profound, isolating feeling to be surrounded by so much life, so much potential, yet find yourself starving and parched. You realize that survival in this place isn't just about physical strength or skill. It's about the relentless, internal fight against your own body's basic demands, a silent negotiation with desperation itself. Suddenly, you hear it. Not a trickle, Not a drip, but a low, persistent rumble. A deep, resonant hum that vibrates through the very ground beneath your feet. It's the sound of something vast, something moving, and it cuts through the endless buzz of the jungle like a beacon. The air around you shifts, subtly, becoming lighter, cooler, carrying with it a new scent. Not just the heavy, damp earth of the forest floor, but something fresh, expansive, a raw, primal smell of moving water and open sky. Your pace quickens, a new surge of energy coursing through your tired limbs, driven by an instinct far older than conscious thought. Hope, cold and sharp, slices through the dull ache of your thirst. You push through a final dense wall of vines, their leaves tearing at your clothing, and then the world explodes open. Sunlight, blindingly bright after the oppressive gloom of the canopy, floods your vision. Your eyes squint, struggling to adjust, as the dense green gives way to an enormous expanse of churning, dark water. It's a river, but not just any river. This is a behemoth, stretching wider than you can comprehend, a powerful, muddy serpent, carving its way through the heart of the world. The sheer scale of it takes your breath away, silencing the constant chatter of your mind for a moment. You stumble forward, drawn by an irresistible force, until your boots sink into the cool, yielding mud of the riverbank. The scent here is incredible, a mix of wet earth, rich silt, and an almost metallic tang from the churning water. You kneel, ignoring the sharp discomfort of small stones digging into your knees, and plunge your hands into the current. The water is surprisingly cold, a shocking, invigorating caress against your heat-flushed skin, instantly raising goosebumps along your arms. It rushes past your fingers with incredible force, tugging and pulling, a constant, living entity. You cup your hands, scooping up the murky liquid, bringing it to your lips. It tastes earthy, a little bitter with sediment, but it's undeniably water, cool and life-giving. You drink deeply, greedily, the raw taste, 1,000 times more satisfying than any refined drink you can remember. The cold liquid slides down your throat, a pure, unadulterated sensation of replenishment, washing away the metallic dryness, soothing the rasping irritation. You feel it spread through your chest, a vital warmth despite its temperature, bringing a wave of profound relief that makes your entire body hum. As you drink, your eyes scan the immense surface. The water is a dark, swirling brown, reflecting the towering trees on the opposite bank like a distorted mirror. Logs, thick as small boats, drift lazily downstream, pulled by an unseen current. The sound of the river is a constant, powerful murmur, a deep conversation with itself that seems to resonate within your very core. You can feel the sheer, untamed power of this place, the immense force of nature in every ripple, every eddy. You're small here, an insignificant speck on its vast edge. But in this moment, with the cold, muddy water filling you, you feel profoundly, undeniably alive. And sometimes you realize, just being alive is all the victory you need. That glorious gulp of murky river water still lingers on your tongue, a phantom coolness against the heat that radiates from your skin. But the vastness of the river, its immense, dark surface stretching out before you, brings a new kind of awareness. The thirst might be temporarily quenched, but the dangers here feel infinitely larger, deeper, and far more ancient than anything the jungle path could throw at you. The air above the water carries a different kind of humidity, thick and heavy, laced with the scent of damp earth and something distinctly animal, something primal. You wade into the shallows, the cool water immediately wrapping around your legs, a shocking caress that quickly turns to a deep, unsettling cold. The mud on the riverbed is soft, squelching between your toes, pulling at your boots with each tentative step. The current, stronger than it looked from the bank, tugs at your clothing, trying to pull you further out, trying to claim you. You brace yourself, leaning into its invisible push, feeling its immense, tireless power. The water is a thick, opaque brown, completely obscuring anything beneath the surface. You can't see your own feet, let alone what might be lurking just inches away. Every step is blind, a gamble against unseen roots, submerged debris, or something far more alive. You reach out, feeling for something solid, your fingers brushing against slick, moss-covered rocks, and then, just for a second, something smooth and surprisingly firm that moves subtly away. Your heart jumps, a sudden, sharp beat against your ribs. Was it a log? Or something else, something with muscle and intent? Your muscles tense, ready to spring. Your eyes, darting over the churning surface, trying to decipher a ripple, a shadow, any sign of what lies beneath. The cacophony of the jungle shrinks, replaced by the relentless, hypnotic rush of the river, and the sudden, heightened awareness of your own breathing. A sudden, violent splash breaks the surface further out, a powerful disruption that sends ripples toward you. You freeze, every nerve ending screaming. Your ears strain, trying to pinpoint the origin, the nature of that sound. A fish jumping? Or something much, much larger feeding? The air feels thick with unseen eyes, with silent movements just beyond the veil of the murky water. You glance back at the dense, emerald wall of the jungle, and for a moment, the tangled chaos of the forest feels almost welcoming compared to the profound, hidden depths of this river. It's a stark realization. This source of life, this reprieve from thirst, is also a boundless arena, where you are no longer just the hunter, but undeniably, terrifyingly, also the hunted. In this water, the lines blur, and every creature is just trying to survive. The sun doesn't set in the jungle so much as it's swallowed whole. One moment, you're navigating the mottled greens and browns. The next, a heavy, velvet cloak of darkness descends, thick and absolute. It presses in on you, a physical weight that stifles the last vestiges of twilight, leaving you utterly, terrifyingly blind. Your eyes strain, wide and desperate, but they find no purchase, no form, no light at all in the suffocating black. It's like being trapped inside a vast, sound-filled cave. Immediately, the world shrinks and expands simultaneously. Your sight is gone, utterly useless, but your hearing explodes into hyper-awareness. Every rustle of leaves, every distant splash from the river, every unseen snap of a twig becomes magnified, sharpened, instantly translated by your fear into a potential threat. The constant, high-pitched thrum of insects intensifies, a vibrating hum that crawls beneath your skin. But now, it's punctuated by new, unsettling sounds. A quick, sharp click-click-click asterisk from the undergrowth nearby, so close you can almost feel it. The wet, guttural croak of something enormous from the trees above. A sound that seems to reverberate in your chest. And a low, almost imperceptible sigh that seems to be circling you. A sound of heavy scales or fur dragging through the damp foliage. Your heart pounds, a frantic drum against your ribs, each beat a shocking percussion in the sudden, overwhelming symphony of night. The humidity, still a dense blanket, now feels colder, more insidious, raising goosebumps on your arms as you instinctively pull your knees closer, trying to make yourself smaller, less visible, even though visibility is a moot point. You can still smell the damp earth, the rotting leaves, the exotic flowers, but now there's an acrid undertone, a faint wild musk that speaks of predators and prey moving through the heavy air. You hear the distinct drip of water from leaves overhead, a slow, methodical rhythm that feels like a countdown to something unknown. Every shadow you can't see feels like it's teeming with unseen life, with eyes that can see you. You try to control your breathing, to make yourself as still as possible, but the rapid intake of air in your lungs feels deafeningly loud, a beacon in the oppressive quiet between the jungle's jagged sounds. You reach out a hand, feeling nothing but empty air, then pull it back, almost expecting to brush against something cold and scaled. Your entire body is taut, a single vibrating string of pure adrenaline, every muscle coiled, ready for a fight you can't see. The fear is a cold, tight knot in your stomach, growing with every unknown sound, with every imagined movement in the impenetrable darkness. It's not just the fear of physical harm, it's the primal, ancient terror of the unknown, of being utterly vulnerable and insignificant in a world that thrives in this terrifying, absolute black. Here, in the heart of the Amazonian night, you learn that true fear isn't just about what you see, but about the terrifying clarity of what you cannot. The absolute black of the jungle night deepens, pressing in on you like a heavy, suffocating blanket. Your eyes, now completely useless, are wide open, yet they see nothing but an endless, shifting canvas of black that seems to absorb even the faintest residual light. Every muscle in your body remains coiled tight, a knot of raw tension that refuses to loosen, no matter how many slow, deliberate breaths you try to take. The air itself feels different, colder now, a damp chill seeping into your clothes, making the sticky fabric cling even more uncomfortably to your skin. You shiver. But it's not just from the cold. It's a tremor of deep, primal unease. The sounds, though, have evolved. The initial jagged bursts of animal cries from before have softened into a complex, continuous murmur, a low thrum that pulses through the darkness. It's like the jungle is breathing around you, a massive, unseen beast exhaling a humid, earthy sigh. You hear the ceaseless patter of unseen rain on the high canopy, a distant, rhythmic drumming that provides a strange, unsettling lullaby. Beneath it, the metallic whir of insects is a constant, almost hypnotic buzz, mingling with the soft, wet plop of large leaves falling, or perhaps something moving with deliberate, heavy steps that are just too indistinct to identify. You strain your ears, trying to separate natural noise from potential danger, but in this oppressive darkness, every sound feels ambiguous. Every rustle could be a branch or a claw. You reach out a hand, blindly, and feel the rough, damp bark of the tree you're leaning against. It's solid, a small anchor in this ocean of unseen perils. But then, something brushes against your fingers, something soft and feathery, then gone. Your breath catches. Was it a moth, a bat, or something larger, something with more intent, moving silently in the depths of the night? Your mind races, filling the void of sight with grotesque images, shapes that slither and crawl, eyes that glow in the inky blackness. You press yourself harder against the tree, seeking any small comfort in its immense, immovable presence. The subtle scent of damp earth and unseen creatures intensifies, a rich, wild perfume that feels both ancient and utterly alien. You close your eyes, as if that might offer some reprieve from the terrifying emptiness, but it changes nothing. The darkness behind your eyelids is just as profound, just as silent. Your thoughts drift, not to escape, but to the sheer endurance of the night. It feels endless, a vast expanse of time, measured only by the changing quality of unseen sounds and the unyielding pressure of dread. There's a subtle, almost imperceptible vibration through the ground, a low, resonant hum that suggests the jungle itself is awake, stirring, its colossal life unfolding around you. You realize that in this place, the greatest fear isn't just what hunts you, but the profound, unsettling recognition that you are entirely, utterly insignificant in its vast, primeval embrace. A sudden, searing prickle erupts on your forearm, sharp and immediate, like 1,000 tiny needles all at once. You flinch, pulling back your arm with a gasp, and look down, but there's nothing visible, just the damp green of the leaf you just brushed past. No thorn, no obvious sting, yet the burning sensation quickly spreads, a deep, persistent itch that makes your skin crawl. You rub at it, furiously, trying to quell the rising irritation, but it only seems to worsen. a phantom fire dancing just beneath the surface of your skin. It's a relentless, low-grade assault that leaves you constantly on edge. You push through another thicket, acutely aware now of every touch, every brush against the dense vegetation. The leaves here aren't just broad and waxy. Some are edged with tiny, almost invisible barbs that snag at your clothing. Or, worse, pierce directly through the fabric to your skin. You feel a persistent, almost imperceptible tug, followed by a series of minute, stinging cuts that accumulate over your exposed hands and neck. It's not enough to draw blood, usually, but it's enough to annoy, to distract, to erode your focus with a constant, low thrum of physical discomfort. The air itself feels alive with tiny, buzzing irritants, invisible gnats that swarm around your face, trying to find their way into your eyes, your mouth, your ears. You swat at them, a futile, constant battle against an enemy you can only feel, not see. The ground underfoot, slick with recent rain, conceals more traps. As you step, a sudden, almost electric itch flares on your ankle. You lift your foot, trying to shake off whatever just made contact, but the sensation persists, a burning trail that seems to be moving. Your mind immediately conjures images of fire ants, or worse, something parasitic. You stomp your foot, rub your leg against the other, desperate to dislodge the unseen aggressor, but it's a losing battle. The jungle feels like it's designed to constantly remind you of its presence, of its infinite tiny defenses. The smell here is still rich with damp earth, but now it's overlaid with a metallic tang from your own sweat, and perhaps a faint medicinal scent from some of the plants you've torn through, releasing their sap. You try to focus on moving forward, to ignore the crawling sensations on your neck, the insistent itch on your forearm, the countless tiny nicks and scrapes that pepper your skin. But it's impossible. Each new sensation pulls at your attention, a small, insidious victory for the jungle. You feel a sudden, sharper pinch on your calf, and this time, you actually pause, inspecting the area, but again, nothing. Just the unrelenting green, the oppressive humidity, and the pervasive feeling that you are utterly surrounded by a million tiny, unseen threats. You realize that survival here isn't just about facing large predators or finding food. It's about enduring a constant, invisible war against the very fabric of the environment itself, where every leaf, every patch of soil, and every breath of air holds the potential for persistent, nagging pain. That familiar, insidious itch flares on your neck, a ghostly echo of countless brushes with unseen irritants. But this time, you don't flinch. Instead, your hand rises, not to swat frantically, but to brush away with a calm, practiced movement. You're beginning to read the air, to feel the subtle shift in pressure that announces a cloud of those tiny, biting midges before they even make contact. The low-grade assault from the jungle's smaller defenses is no longer a constant surprise. It's a language you're slowly, painfully learning to understand. Your eyes, once darting in wide-eyed panic, now scan with a new, focused intensity. You start to notice patterns. The way certain broad leaves have a faint, almost imperceptible sheen along their edges, indicating microscopic barbs that will snag and prick. The cluster of tiny, almost fluorescent red ants that march with a precise, military discipline along a particular route, their territory a silent warning. You see how certain vines, thicker and darker than the rest, always seem to carry a fine, almost invisible fuzz that causes that deep, persistent, burning sensation if you brush too close. You learn to give them a wider berth, to step over or around, rather than simply push through. Your movements become more deliberate, less reactive. You extend your arm to push aside a tangle of less threatening foliage, your fingers now sensing the texture, the resistance, the feel of the plant before you commit. There's a particular kind of rough, almost powdery coating on some leaves that your skin has learned to associate with a mild, irritating rash. You avoid it, guiding your hand around it, finding a cleaner path. The jungle still smells of damp earth and decaying life, but now you pick up on subtle undertones, a sharp, acrid scent from a broken stem that screams, "Stay away," or a faint, sweet, almost sickly perfume from a cluster of flowers that you've learned to associate with the metallic buzz of larger, more aggressive insects. The metallic whir of unseen wings is still ever present, but you're starting to differentiate the harmless hum from the sharper, more aggressive drone of the biting species. You find yourself subtly altering your path, not just to avoid fallen logs, but to circumvent a patch of ground where the moss looks too vibrantly green, knowing it might conceal a nest of stinging insects. Your body is still covered in a tapestry of small scrapes and old stings, a living map of your education, but new ones are becoming less frequent. This isn't a truce, it's a cold, hard education. You realize that this jungle isn't just a place of wild beauty and brute force. It's an intricate, living arsenal, each plant and creature a perfectly evolved weapon. And to survive, you must learn to speak its silent, stinging language. The ground beneath you is a treacherous, sucking expanse of mud, slick and deep, making every step a monumental effort. Your boots are heavy, caked with a thick, clinging layer of dark earth that pulls and squelches with each movement, threatening to swallow your foot whole. The air is still dense with humidity, but here, in this low-lying area, it carries a heavy, almost stagnant scent of decaying vegetation and wet earth, a cloying perfume that seems to coat your tongue. You push a fallen log, thick with moss and riddled with insects, trying to roll it into position, and your muscles scream in protest, a deep burning ache spreading from your shoulders down your back. Your hands, raw and grimy, slip on the wet bark, leaving streaks of mud and a faint, coppery scent of your own sweat and a few fresh nicks. You grunt with the effort, the sound surprisingly loud in the thick, humid air, and the log inches forward, then sinks slightly into the soft ground. This isn't about running or fighting. It's about building. It's about creating a small, defiant perimeter in a world that wants to swallow you whole. You're trying to construct a makeshift shelter, a small bastion against the incessant jungle, using whatever debris you can scavenge from the forest floor. The sound of the river, a distant, constant murmur, is a reminder of another relentless force just beyond this muddy clearing. You reach for a cluster of broad, sturdy leaves, thick as dinner plates, tearing them from their stalks with a satisfying rip. You try to weave them into a basic roof structure, attempting to fashion some overhead cover from the constant drip of moisture from the canopy, and, more importantly, from the prying eyes of unseen creatures. But the leaves are heavy, wet, and resistant, constantly wanting to spring back into their original shape. Your fingers ache with the repetitive work, the constant bending and tying with whatever strong vines you can find. It's slow, tedious, back-breaking labor, a stark contrast to the quick, decisive actions of combat. As you work, your skin feels constantly damp, a mix of sweat and the persistent mist from the jungle. Flies buzz around your face, landing on your arms, their tiny feet a ticklish annoyance you mostly ignore, your focus entirely on the task at hand. You catch a glimpse of your reflection in a small, muddy puddle, a face smeared with dirt, hair plastered to your forehead, eyes wide with a mix of exhaustion and stubborn determination. The makeshift structure you're raising is crude, temporary, and far from impenetrable, but as you finally manage to prop a large, flat piece of bark against a tree trunk, forming a wall, a small, quiet sense of accomplishment settles over you. It's a tiny victory against an overwhelming opponent. You realize that sometimes survival isn't about striking a blow, but about simply holding your ground, piece by painstaking piece. In a world that constantly tries to drag you down, you're huddled inside your makeshift shelter, the crude walls of bark and woven leaves doing little more than filter the oppressive humidity. The air inside is thick, stagnant, carrying a heavy, earthy scent mixed with the cloying sweetness of decay and the faint, acrid smell of your own sweat. Your clothes cling to your skin, permanently damp, a clammy second skin that never quite dries, chafing with every subtle shift of your body. You can feel the persistent itch of old insect bites, a constant low-grade irritation that travels across your skin, a phantom army always on the march. A ceaseless, high-pitched hum is the dominant sound, the metallic whir of 1,000 unseen insects. A perpetual, vibrating cloud just beyond your flimsy barrier. You swat instinctively at your neck, even though you can't see anything, feeling the brief, ticklish contact of tiny feet before whatever it was disappears back into the damp air. You hear the relentless drip, drip, drip of water from the canopy, landing on the leafy roof of your refuge, a monotonous rhythm that feels like a slow, insistent tap against your skull. Every so often, a larger droplet finds its way through, landing with a cold, shocking splash on your exposed skin, making you flinch, a stark reminder of the jungle's pervasive dampness. Through the gaps in your cobbled-together walls, you can see slivers of the overwhelming green, pressing in, alive. The leaves outside seem to rustle with a life of their own, not just from wind, but with the subtle, slow movements of insects, lizards, and other unseen creatures. You hear a soft thump just outside, close enough to make you freeze, every muscle tensing, your breath held in your throat. Was it a fruit falling? Or something heavier, something with teeth and claws sniffing around your precarious haven? The silence that follows is almost worse, pregnant with the unknown. Your hands, still grimy from building, feel rough against your clammy skin. You rub at your temples, trying to ease the persistent ache behind your eyes, a dull throb that vibrates with the incessant jungle drone. Even within this small, supposedly safe space, there's no true respite. The air feels heavy, pressing in on you, a constant, low thrum of nature's relentless presence. You feel the slow crawl of a bug on your leg, a tiny, almost imperceptible movement, and flick it away with a practiced hand. This isn't a shelter. It's a constant battlefront, a fragile barrier against a world that never sleeps, a place that never stops probing, testing, and relentlessly trying to reclaim the space you've momentarily carved out for yourself. You realize that sometimes survival isn't about grand battles, but about enduring the unending, grinding siege of 1,000,000 tiny, persistent forces. The air thickens, a sudden, almost metallic tang cutting through the usual earthy perfume of the jungle. You feel a noticeable drop in temperature, a chill that raises goosebumps along your arms, even as the humidity remains a heavy blanket. Far in the distance, a low, guttural rumble echoes, not like an animal, but deeper, more resonant, vibrating through the very ground beneath your feet. It's a sound that promises something immense. The canopy above, usually a solid ceiling of green, begins to stir, the leaves rustling with an agitated whispering chorus as an unseen wind picks up. The light around you dims, not slowly like a sunset, but rapidly, dramatically, as if a colossal hand is pulling a dark curtain across the sky. Then, a blinding flash. It's a jagged, searing white that rips through the dense overhead foliage, briefly illuminating the jungle in stark, terrifying detail. Colossal tree trunks, contorted vines, leaves dripping with moisture, before plunging everything back into an even deeper, more oppressive gloom. Almost immediately, a deafening crack explodes overhead, a thunderclap so violent it feels like the very air is being torn apart. The sound slams into you, vibrating in your chest, shaking your teeth, making your ears ring. The ground trembles beneath your boots, a deep, visceral shudder that makes you instinctively crouch, bracing yourself against the unseen force. And then, the deluge. It's not rain. It's a solid wall of water, falling with an unbelievable ferocity. It pelts the canopy with the sound of 1,000,000 drums, a roar that drowns out everything else, hammering down, tearing through the leaves, cascading in furious sheets. You feel the immediate impact. Cold, shocking torrents hitting your face, soaking your clothes in an instant. The wind howls, a primal shriek that whips through the trees, making ancient branches groan and snap. The carefully constructed leaves of your makeshift shelter are no match. They tear, they rip, offering almost no protection. Water pours in, soaking the ground around you, turning the earth into a swirling, muddy river. You press yourself further into the small space, shivering uncontrollably, the cold rain mixed with sweat stinging your eyes. Another flash, closer this time, searing your retinas, followed by an even more violent roar of thunder that rattles your very bones. The smell of ozone, sharp and electric, fills the air, mingling with the intensified scent of wet earth and bruised foliage. You're no longer just wet, you're being pummeled, cleansed, overwhelmed by the sheer, unbridled power of the elements. In this moment, stripped bare of all illusions of control, you realize that the jungle doesn't just tolerate life, it commands it. And sometimes, its command is a reminder of how incredibly small and utterly vulnerable you truly are. The storm isn't letting up. If anything, it's intensifying. A relentless assault from all directions. The air itself feels like a solid, rushing entity. A howling vortex of wind and water that tears at your clothes, chilling you to the bone. You're no longer just wet. You're utterly, completely drenched, the water pouring over you in such continuous sheets that you can barely distinguish individual drops. It stings your exposed skin, 1,000 tiny slaps that leave you shivering violently, your teeth chattering uncontrollably. Your makeshift shelter is long gone, splintered and washed away, leaving you exposed to the full, terrifying might of the downpour. The sound is monumental. The thunder isn't just claps now, it's a continuous, rolling roar, a deep guttural growl that vibrates through the very core of the earth, shaking your entire body with each reverberation. Above it, the rain hammers the dense canopy with an intensity that sounds like crashing waves, a ceaseless, deafening drumbeat that drowns out all other thoughts, all other fears, leaving only the raw sensation of the storm. You press your hands against your ears, but it's futile. The sound penetrates bone, a physical pressure that makes your head ache, blurring the lines between external chaos and internal sensation. You can taste the sharp, electric tang of ozone in the air, mixed with the overwhelming scent of churning earth and bruised, struggling vegetation. Lightning flashes are no longer occasional. They're a strobing, blinding sequence, tearing open the darkness of the jungle in violent, split-second bursts. Each flash reveals a world transformed, trees thrashing wildly, their ancient limbs bending precariously, rivulets of water turning into roaring torrents across the forest floor, sweeping away loose debris, small rocks, and anything else in their path. You see a massive branch, thick as a human torso, snap with a sound like a gunshot, crashing down into the unseen undergrowth with a splintering organic scream. The ground beneath your feet is a shifting, sucking mud pit, constantly trying to drag you down, making every attempt to move a struggle against the relentless current flowing across the jungle floor. Your eyes, though stinging from the constant bombardment of water, dart around wildly, searching for purchase, for something to hold on to, for any slight reprieve. But there's only the green, now a blurred, menacing wall of churning water and wind, a suffocating embrace that feels determined to wash you away, to reclaim you back into the primeval chaos. Your lungs burn, gasping for air against the powerful wind, which seems to rip the very breath from your mouth. In this moment, stripped of all defenses, all sense of control, you realize that nature doesn't just endure, it commands. And when it rages, it doesn't care about your plans, your hopes, or your will to survive. It just too sees. You're nothing but a speck caught in its magnificent, terrifying, and utterly indifferent fury. Your fingers find purchase on the wet, rough bark of an immense tree, its surface a textured tapestry of moss, lichen, and small, sticky sap trails. You pull yourself up, your muscles screaming in protest. A deep, burning ache spreading through your shoulders and arms with each upward heave. The air around you is still thick with the damp, earthy perfume of the forest floor, but as you climb, it feels subtly different, a hint of freshness seeping into the oppressive humidity. The sounds from below, the constant hum of insects, the rustle of unseen creatures, begin to fade, becoming a distant murmur, a dull roar that no longer presses in with the same intensity. You feel the cold, slick surface of a thick vine wrap around your wrist as you grasp it, testing its strength before trusting your way to it. Your boots scrape against the coarse bark, seeking purchase, sometimes slipping on a patch of wet moss, sending a momentary jolt of fear through your body. The climb is relentless, a vertical battle against gravity and the living, breathing architecture of the jungle. You press your cheek against the cool, damp wood, taking a moment to catch your breath, feeling the faint, steady vibration of the colossal tree, a silent, ancient pulse beneath your skin. Higher up, the light filtering through the canopy begins to change, no longer mere slivers, but broader, more defined shafts of diffused sunlight, hinting at the vastness above. Suddenly, you push through a final, dense layer of leaves, and the world explodes open. A rush of cool, clean air slams into your face, raising goosebumps on your arms, invigorating your lungs with a sensation so profound it almost makes you dizzy. You're on the canopy, or rather, on a massive, horizontal branch, still deep within the green, but now with a breathtaking view over it. Below you, the jungle stretches out, an endless, undulating ocean of vibrant green, broken only by the shimmering ribbon of the distant river, reflecting the brilliant, unfiltered sunlight. The scale of it is staggering, humbling. The sound up here is different too. The frantic buzz of the lower jungle is replaced by the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant, soaring cries of large birds you couldn't hear before, and a profound, airy silence that wraps around you. You take a deep, shuddering breath, filling your lungs with air that tastes of sun, rain, and fresh foliage, a stark contrast to the stagnant air of the forest floor. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, a blessed, almost forgotten sensation after days spent in perpetual gloom. Your eyes, once strained by the oppressive darkness, now drink the boundless horizon, an unbroken tapestry of greens stretching to meet the pale blue sky. In this moment, poised between the earth and the heavens, you realize that enduring the depths only makes the heights feel truly infinite. You lean against the incredibly thick, gnarled branch, its surface rough and steady beneath your sweaty palms, your chest still heaving, but it's not solely from the demanding exertion of the ascent. It's the sheer, unadulterated immensity of the view that truly snatches the breath from your lungs. The sun, now utterly direct and unbroken, bathes your face and arms in a profound warmth, a soothing balm after the perpetual, clammy chill and oppressive dimness of the undergrowth. You close your eyes for a precious moment, letting that pure, invigorating heat seep deep into your skin, feeling the dry, clean air caress your cheeks, a sensation so refreshingly alien it feels almost forgotten. When you finally open your eyes, the world spread out beneath you is a breathtaking, vibrant emerald sea, an endless, undulating ocean of dense treetops that rolls outward, stretching to a hazy, indistinct horizon that seems to melt into the pale blue sky. You feel taller now, not merely in a physical sense, but with a palpable lightness in your spirit. The frantic, claustrophobic hum and buzz of the lower jungle has magically transformed into a soft, murmuring breath, the entire forest exhaling a gentle, living sigh beneath your precarious perch. Distant, sharp shrieks of macaws slice through the vast open air, their vibrant, almost impossibly bright forms, mere flashes of color you can now actually see, soaring in wide, unhurried arcs far above the verdant carpet. Your gaze eventually catches on the shimmering silver ribbon of the colossal river, snaking its way majestically through the deep green, looking deceptively calm and serene from this incredible height, a vital, undeniable lifeline in this boundless, untamed wilderness. Far beyond it, where the two titans meet, the horizon glows with a faint, almost ethereal haze, a boundary where the endless, living trees finally surrender to the boundless, silent sky. It's a vista so overwhelming it threatens to swallow you whole, yet paradoxically, in its sheer scale, it makes you feel less lost, more profoundly connected to something unimaginably vast and ancient. A gentle breeze, refreshingly cool and surprisingly dry, whispers softly past your ears, carrying with it the faint, clean scent of pure, unburdened air, subtly mingled with the sweet, elusive fragrance of unseen blossoms from the canopy. You instinctively raise a hand, letting the benevolent breeze comb through your fingers, feeling its subtle, unwavering strength against your skin. Below, the once menacing shadows of the forest floor now dance playfully, but from this incredible height, they are merely intricate patterns, no longer dark hiding places for unseen lurking threats. The deep-seated fear that clung to you so persistently on the ground, the constant, draining vigilance, momentarily recedes, replaced by a profound, almost spiritual sense of awe. This isn't just a brutal, relentless place to survive. It's a living, breathing, colossal world of impossible, magnificent scale. You turn slowly, deliberately, drinking in the full, glorious 360-degree panorama, your eyes no longer scanning for danger, but for a deeper sense of direction, for a nascent purpose. The sheer, unyielding vastness of it all, the overwhelming, beautiful green that stretches infinitely, offers a kind of undeniable clarity. It somehow manages to put everything into an astonishing perspective, the small, persistent pains, the grinding, constant struggles, the gnawing hunger that still stirs within you. Here, high above it all, you feel an undeniable connection to something immeasurably larger than your own existence, a fleeting, precious moment of profound peace nestled right in the heart of this wild, untamed chaos. You realize that sometimes, to truly understand where you are in the grand scheme of things, you first have to climb high enough to truly see how small you are in the magnificent, indifferent tapestry of existence itself. The damp, earthy scent of the forest floor, usually a constant companion, is suddenly pierced by something else. It's faint, almost imperceptible, a fleeting whiff of wood smoke, old, dried, and distant, but undeniably there, a stark anomaly in the endless green. You pause, every muscle tensing, your head tilting slightly, trying to capture it again. Was it just a trick of the humid air? Or a phantom memory? Your heart gives a quick, uneven thump against your ribs. The usual symphony of jungle sounds, the ceaseless hum of insects, the distant calls of birds, seems to momentarily recede, replaced by a sudden expectant quiet. Then you hear it, not the rustle of leaves from an animal, nor the snap of a breaking twig from natural decay. It's a soft, deliberate thump-tap, a subtle rhythmic sound that feels constructed. It's too precise, too measured for the wild. Your eyes dart, straining to pierce the dense curtain of foliage directly ahead. You feel the familiar surge of adrenaline, but this isn't the primal fear of a beast. It's a different kind of tension, sharp and unsettling, born of something far more complex. Suddenly, a flicker of movement, deeper in the emerald tangle. It's quick, almost too fast to register, like a shadow passing through leaves. You freeze, absolutely still, barely daring to breathe. Your gaze locks onto the spot, waiting. The air feels heavy, pregnant with the unknown. And then, there they are. A figure, barely visible through the dense screen of palms and vines, camouflaged not just by their muted, mud-stained clothes, but by an almost supernatural stillness. You can't make out distinct features from this distance, just the silhouette of someone, lean and wiry, blending seamlessly into the chaos of the jungle. They're standing, perfectly motionless, their back partially turned, a dark form almost absorbed by the shadows. They seem to be focused on something, their heads slightly cocked, their posture one of deep concentration, not the easy alertness of a predator, but the quiet vigilance of someone who belongs here, someone who has learned to become part of the silent landscape. Then, they move. It's a slow, deliberate turn of their head, and their eyes find yours, even across the distance. Through the weaving leaves and the muted light, you feel it, a direct, piercing gaze, filled with an ancient weariness, a profound understanding. There's no surprise, no fear in their eyes, only a deep, knowing recognition. They don't gesture, don't call out. They simply hold your stare for a long, silent moment, a shared breath held in the heart of the wilderness. Then, as quietly and fluidly as they appeared, they melt back into the green, a ripple in the foliage, and then they are gone, leaving behind only the echo of that intense, wordless glance. You're left with the faint, lingering scent of that distant smoke, and the heavy, undeniable presence of a world that just, for a fleeting moment, whispered of humanity, a phantom limb of connection in the vast, indifferent wild. That intense, silent gaze from the figure, it lingers on your skin like a physical touch, long after they've melted back into the dense green. The faint, ghostly scent of wood smoke, a fleeting whisper of another human presence, seems to cling to the humid air, a stark, unsettling contrast to the overwhelming earthy perfume of the jungle. Your heart still thrums, a low, persistent beat against your ribs, but it's not the frantic pulse of fear you felt with unseen predators. This is something else entirely. A strange mix of profound relief and an immediate, sharp surge of wariness. You remain frozen for a long moment, every nerve ending screaming. Your eyes are riveted to the spot where they vanished, straining to pick up any flicker, any rustle, any sign that they might reappear. The jungle sounds, which briefly quieted, now seem to resume with a heightened, almost mocking intensity. The incessant, metallic buzz of insects, the distant calls of unknown birds, the constant drip of moisture from the leaves. But now each sound is filtered through a new lens, scrutinized for any hint of deliberate movement, any echo of that precise thud. The oppressive humidity feels even heavier, almost suffocating, as you hold your breath, listening, waiting. You take a slow, deliberate step forward, then another, pushing through the thick, broad leaves that had obscured their presence. The foliage, once just a natural barrier, now feels like a silent, complicit witness to that unspoken encounter. You find nothing. No broken twigs, no clear footprints in the damp earth, just the endless, indifferent green. They moved like a phantom, leaving no trace. Your fingers brush against a damp vine, its slick surface feeling oddly cold, and you realize how utterly out of place you must look to them. A clumsy, noisy intruder, covered in grime and foreign materials, struggling where they moved with such seamless grace. The contrast is stark, almost humiliating. The air thickens with unspoken questions. Who are they? Friend or foe? Are there more of them? The silence that hangs between you now, in the wake of that wordless communication, feels heavy, laden with potential. You try to imagine what their gaze meant. An invitation? A warning? A simple acknowledgement of your existence in their world? Your mind races, trying to decipher a meaning, but there's no common language here, only the raw, instinctual exchange of glances. You touch your own face, feeling the grit and sweat, a stark reminder of your own clumsy, desperate struggle compared to their quiet, almost ethereal mastery of this environment. The jungle, which before was just a wild force, now feels like a contested territory. A place where even another human is an enigma, a mirror reflecting your own profound isolation. You realize that sometimes the most profound encounters leave you with no answers, only a deeper understanding of the vast, unsettling chasm between worlds, and the heavy weight of the words that will likely never be spoken. The faintest whisper of wood smoke, old and dry, returns to the humid air, growing a fraction stronger this time, pulling your gaze to the edge of the clearing. You don't hear a twig snap, no rustle of leaves. They simply don't jay there again. A silent, lean silhouette against the dense green, exactly where you saw them before. This time, they step out a little, less a phantom, more a presence, their eyes, dark and ancient, already fixed on yours. There's no challenge in their posture, no aggression, but an unwavering, watchful stillness that demands a mirror in your own stance. You take a slow, deliberate breath, the heavy, damp air filling your lungs, tasting of earth and that subtle, foreign smoke. Your hand moves, slowly, to a small metallic component salvaged from your wreckage, a piece of twisted circuitry, glinting dully in the filtered light. It's useless to you now, but it represents your world, your origin. You hold it out, palm open, a gesture of offering, of vulnerability. Your fingers tremble faintly, not from fear, but from the immense weight of this unspoken interaction. Their eyes follow the movement, unblinking, assessing. They don't move immediately, their gaze shifting from the object to your face, searching, perhaps, for intent. The silence stretches, thick and taut, broken only by the incessant buzz of insects and the distant, rhythmic drip of water from the canopy. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, their head inclines, a subtle gesture that you can only interpret as an acknowledgement. Their hand, calloused and dark against the vibrant green, reaches into a small, tightly woven pouch slung across their chest. They withdraw something, small and dark, wrapped in broad, fresh leaves, secured with a thin vine. They extend it towards you, mirroring your open palm gesture, but their arm remains slightly bent, their distance maintained. You step forward, cautiously, feeling the slick mud squelch beneath your boots. Your fingers brush theirs as you take the bundle, the skin surprisingly cool and firm, a momentary contact that sends a jolt through you. The leaves are smooth, slightly damp, releasing a fresh, clean, almost herbaceous scent. You carefully unwrap the bundle. Inside, nestled on a bed of smaller, darker leaves, are 3 plump, vibrant red berries, glistening with moisture. They look edible, inviting, nothing like the questionable fruits you've avoided. Your stomach, which had been a dull ache, now rumbles with a sharp, immediate hunger. You look up, meeting their gaze again. There's a flicker of something in their eyes. Not satisfaction, not triumph, but a quiet, ancient understanding. You raise one of the berries to your lips, its skin yielding slightly as you bite. It's sweet, tart, bursting with cool juice, a profound, undeniable taste of life that washes away the metallic tang of thirst and the lingering bitterness of hunger. You nod, a slow, deliberate gesture of gratitude, feeling the raw emotions swell in your chest. They respond with another subtle inclination of their head, then, as fluidly as before, they turn, and with a final, soft ripple in the leaves, they are gone. You're left holding the remaining berries, the useless metal component still clutched in your other hand, a silent witness to a fragile bridge built on unspoken needs. You realize that in this wild, indifferent world, the most powerful communication isn't always with words, but with the raw, honest currency of survival. You stand there, the sweet, tart taste of the berries a lingering memory, the useless piece of circuitry still warm in your palm. The humid air, heavy with the usual earthy scent, now holds a sharper, almost metallic tang, a reminder of the technological fragments scattered across this ancient landscape. The figure reappears, not suddenly this time, but emerging from the shifting green with a quiet inevitability, their eyes, dark and assessing, already on you. They don't approach too closely, maintaining that careful, watchful distance, an invisible barrier of caution. Your gaze falls to the ground, where a small pile of objects sits. You didn't notice it before, so seamlessly did it blend into the damp earth and fallen leaves. It's a collection of small, unfamiliar items, perfectly smooth, dark stones, a few iridescent insect wings, a cluster of what look like dried seeds with intricate patterns, and a length of woven fiber, surprisingly strong and supple. These are their treasures, their currency. You understand instinctively that this isn't about gold or credits. It's about utility, about beauty, about the raw, tangible value of the jungle itself. You glance down at your own gear. A tattered strap from your pack, tough and synthetic, catches your eye. Then a small, brightly colored button. Once part of a uniform, now just a curious, hard disc. A piece of polished, dark metal. A fragment of something mechanical, glinting faintly in the dappled light. These are the remnants of your world. Alien and out of place here. You pick up the polished metal shard, feeling its cool weight, its unnatural smoothness against your grimy fingers. You hold it out, not as an offering but as an experiment, a question. Their eyes, usually so stoic, flicker with a hint of curiosity as they regard the metal. They reach out a hand, slowly, their dark fingers brushing against the cool, manufactured surface, feeling its texture, its hard, unyielding nature. You watch their expression, trying to decipher the unreadable lines of their face, searching for a sign of recognition, of value. They turn the metal over in their palm, examining it with a quiet intensity, as if seeing something utterly new, something from another dimension. Then, with a subtle movement, they place it carefully among their own pile of natural treasures, not dismissing it, but integrating it, acknowledging its unique alienness. The exchange is silent, a transaction conducted without a single word, purely through gestures, glances, and the careful selection of objects. The air hums with the unspoken negotiation, the subtle weighing of worth between two vastly different worlds. You feel a strange sense of understanding, a connection forged not through shared language, but through a shared human instinct for resourcefulness, for finding value in the disparate. You nod, a slow, deliberate acknowledgement of this silent agreement. They respond with a faint, almost imperceptible dip of their head, then turn and melt back into the green, leaving you with a heavy knowledge that here, in the heart of the Amazon, the true measure of wealth isn't what you take, but what you have to offer, and how you choose to trade in the shadows. A flicker of movement, lightning fast, disappears into the undergrowth ahead. It's a blur of fur and muscle, small but quick, leaving behind a faint, musky scent that cuts through the humid, earthy perfume of the jungle. Your stomach clenches, a sudden, primal growl rumbling deep within you, far louder and more insistent than any civilized hunger. Your senses sharpen, every nerve ending alight. The endless green foliage, usually a chaotic blur, now resolves into a series of potential paths, hiding spots, and escape routes. Your vision narrows, focusing on the disturbed leaves, the broken twig, the faint indentations in the soft, damp earth. Your feet move without conscious thought, a hunter's instinct taking over. The ground, slick with mud and tangled with roots, is no longer an obstacle. It's a silent canvas for your pursuit. Your boots find purchase, soft and quick, your body bending and weaving through the dense undergrowth with a sudden fluid grace you didn't know you possessed. You push aside heavy, damp leaves, feeling their cool, slick surface brush against your arms, but your focus is entirely forward, on the phantom of that fleeting shadow. The air, thick with humidity, feels charged, electric with the chase. You can hear the rhythmic pounding of your own heart, a drumbeat that synchronizes with the quick, shallow breaths you take. The scent grows stronger now, more distinct, a wild animal tang, mixed with the sharp, almost metallic smell of damp earth disturbed by rapid movement. You follow the broken trail, your eyes fixed on the subtle signs. A fresh scrape on a tree trunk, a cluster of crushed leaves, a faint, almost invisible track in the soft mud. The jungle sounds, usually a cacophony, now seem to filter into a focused hum, every rustle, every distant bird call momentarily irrelevant. All that matters is the pulse, the scent, the relentless forward momentum of the hunt. You feel the raw, ancient thrill of the chase, a forgotten instinct awakened deep within your core. Suddenly, you burst into a small, sun-dappled clearing. And there it is. A small, furry creature, its eyes wide with terror, frozen for a split second before bolting. Your muscles coil. This isn't a game. This isn't strategy. This is pure, unadulterated need. The distance collapses in a rush of adrenaline and desperate speed. You feel the impact, a solid thump, the struggle, and then a quick, almost brutal finality. Your hands close around it, warm fur, a fragile weight. The smell of fear, of wildness, is thick in the air. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, your heart hammering, but now a profound, almost dizzying satisfaction washes over you, momentarily silencing the relentless roar of the jungle. You realize that in this place, sometimes the most profound act isn't to build or to connect, but to embrace the most ancient, brutal necessity of all. The small, warm weight of the creature in your hands feels strangely heavy, almost sacred. The surge of adrenaline from the chase slowly recedes, replaced by a hollow ache in your gut that demands attention, sharp and insistent. The scent of wild fur, fear, and a faint, metallic tang of blood rises, mingling with the damp, earthy perfume of the jungle. You find a relatively clear patch of ground, a slight rise away from the sucking mud, and kneel, placing the animal carefully before you. Your hands, still trembling slightly, are rough, calloused, and stained with dirt and the residue of the hunt. You begin to work, instinctively, with a grim efficiency born of pure necessity. A jagged shard of metal, once part of your ruined gear, becomes your tool. It's crude, unwieldy, but sharp enough for the task. The initial resistance of the fur gives way with a soft, tearing sound, a wet rip that echoes in the otherwise ceaseless drone of the jungle. You feel the warmth of the body, the sudden coolness where the skin is peeled back, revealing the taut, pale muscle beneath. Your fingers, usually clumsy with such delicate work, move with a focused precision, guided by a primal understanding of anatomy. There's no room for squeamishness now, no time for hesitation. This is the stark, brutal reality of sustaining yourself. The air around you fills with the raw scent of viscera, a powerful, almost overwhelming aroma that contrasts sharply with the sweet, cloying humidity. Flies, attracted by the fresh blood, immediately descend, buzzing with an insistent metallic drone around your head. You swat them away with an automatic practiced motion, your focus never wavering from the task. Your breath comes in slow, measured exhales, a counterpoint to the hurried beat of your heart. You feel the rough texture of bone, the slippery give of muscle, the strange, visceral warmth of internal organs. As you carefully, methodically prepare your meal, your hands become slick with blood and fluid, sticky and cold, the feeling utterly alien, yet strangely compelling in its raw honesty. Finally, you lift a piece of raw meat, still warm, to your lips. It tastes earthy, slightly gamey, with an iron tang, but it's undeniably nourishing, a pure, unadulterated sensation of life force entering your body. You chew slowly, deliberately, savoring the rough texture, the profound, simple satisfaction of sustenance. The dull ache of hunger, which had become a constant companion, begins to recede, replaced by a deep, physical contentment. The jungle sounds, which earlier felt like a threat, now seem to wrap around you, a silent witness to this most ancient of rituals. You look at your hands, stained and messy, and realize that in this place, the line between living and surviving is incredibly thin, and sometimes the most humane act is to embrace the rawest cycle of life and death, simply to exist for another day. The humid air, thick with the usual jungle perfumes of damp earth and exotic decay, is suddenly ripped apart by a raw, guttural shout, sharp and undeniably human. It's followed immediately by a sharped-up whack, the sound of heavy metal tearing through dense foliage, far too deliberate, far too powerful for any animal. Your heart seizes in your chest, an instantaneous cold dread replacing the rhythmic thrum of the jungle. Your head snaps towards the sound, every muscle in your body tensing, your senses exploding into hyper-awareness. A flash of movement in the dense, emerald curtain ahead. Too fast, too aggressive. Figures emerge from the shifting green, dark and agile, their lean bodies almost swallowed by the camouflage of mud and natural dyes. In their hands, wicked gleams of honed steel, long, heavy machetes that catch the filtered light, their edges looking terrifyingly sharp, ready to slice through anything in their path. Their faces, a blur of fierce intent, are grim and focused, their eyes narrowed, fixed squarely on you. Your blood chills, then burns with an instantaneous surge of adrenaline. Every muscle clenches, your hands instinctively ball into fists, your posture shifting from cautious movement to ready for impact defense. This isn't the stealthy ambush of a beast. This is a direct, brutal confrontation, a clash of worlds. They surge forward, a wave of raw, primitive aggression, their movements fluid but deadly, a natural extension of the jungle itself. The taller reach of steel cuts through the air, then a deafening siffling as something heavy slams against your left shoulder. A jarring shock rattles your entire frame, a painful jolt that momentarily steals your breath. The metallic tang of impact, not flesh, but the solid resistance of your combat gear, vibrates through your arm. You stagger back, the ground uneven beneath your boots, and instinctively roll, surprisingly agile, despite the heavy equipment. The damp earth cushions your fall, the thick, sharp leaves scraping against your face as you move, desperately trying to create distance. Another machete whistles inches past your ear, so close you feel the displacement of air, the grim intent behind the swing. The scent of their bodies, sweat, damp earth, something sharp and wild, almost like ancient wood smoke, fills your nostrils as they close in, moving with an eerie, coordinated precision. You scramble to your feet, your vision narrowed, focusing on the dark shapes pressing in. You see their eyes, now closer, dark and utterly determined, no longer acknowledging you as an equal, but as an obstacle, a target to be neutralized. It's a primal dance, a jarring clash of metal against raw, honed steel, the remnants of your advanced technology pitted against the brutal, elegant simplicity of their jungle-forged blades. The air around you pulses with the heavy beat of your own heart, a drumbeat of pure survival. In this sudden, brutal clash, you realize that while the jungle itself is an indifferent adversary, its human inhabitants are anything but. They are fiercely, dangerously alive, and their intentions are as sharp and clear as the blades they wield. The jarring clang of that machete against your shoulder still echoes, a painful vibration deep in your bones. The heavy steel weapon, wielded with terrifying force, glances off your reinforced gear, but the impact sends a shockwave through you, staggering you backward into the dense undergrowth. The humid air, thick with the scent of their wild aggression and the metallic tang of fear, feels like it's choking you. There are two of them now, moving with a fluid, terrifying precision, their dark, lean forms dissolving and reappearing in the shifting shadows of the jungle, their machetes flashing with lethal intent. You don't think. You react. Your training kicks in, blending with the raw survival instincts you've honed in this merciless environment. The slick, uneven ground, once a hindrance, becomes your ally. You duck under a low-hanging, gnarled vine, feeling its rough surface scrape against your helmet, and roll sharply to the side as another blade whistles where your head was just a heartbeat ago. The sharp, acrid scent of bruised foliage fills your nostrils as leaves are torn, branches snap. Your boots churn in the thick mud, sending sprays of dark earth flying, momentarily obscuring their vision. You hear a grunt of frustration, a guttural sound that spurs you on. You push off the damp ground, using the momentum to spring up and backward, forcing them to pursue you deeper into a labyrinth of roots and heavy palms. Your fingers, calloused and quick, grasp a thick, low branch, pulling your body up and over, using the jungle's own architecture as a shield. The dense canopy, usually a filter of light, now works to your advantage, breaking up their line of sight, turning the skirmish into a brutal game of hide-and-seek. You hear the heavy thud of their boots behind you, the relentless swish-chop of their machetes clearing paths you just traversed. They are fast, relentless, and perfectly adapted to this brutal terrain. A blur of movement to your left. You pivot, bracing for impact. The air crackles with their presence, with the sheer, physical force of their attack. You don't have a weapon, not one that works anyway, but you have your weight, your combat-hardened frame, and the sheer, desperate will to survive. You lower your shoulder, ramming into the approaching figure, feeling the jarring impact of flesh and muscle against your armor. A sharp exhale, a surprised grunt. You don't stop, you push through, using their own momentum against them, forcing them off balance, sending them stumbling into a thicket of barbed, stinging vines. Their cry of pain is raw, guttural, a sudden crack in their unwavering resolve. You don't wait to see the result. You burst forward, scrambling over a fallen, moss-covered log, your lungs burning, your body aching, but adrenaline still pumping through your veins, hot and fierce. The sounds of their pursuit, though still present, are now a fraction more distant, a slight reprieve in the relentless chase. You realize, as you fight for every inch of ground, that in this environment, it's not about the biggest gun or the flashiest tech. It's about how quickly you can adapt, how brutally you can embrace the raw, unfiltered violence of the wild, and how perfectly you can make this unforgiving jungle your own savage, unpredictable battlefield. A dull, persistent ache starts to throb in your left arm, right where that machete glanced off your armor. It's not a sharp, immediate pain, but a deep, bruised sensation that vibrates with every movement. A constant, low thrum beneath the skin. You try to ignore it, to push through, but it's a relentless reminder of that close call, a phantom weight that seems to grow heavier with each passing moment. The humid air, which always clings to your skin, now feels heavy against the area, almost drawing attention to the discomfort. You pull back a thick, broad leaf, its damp surface brushing your arm, and a sharp, stinging prickle erupts on your exposed forearm. You flinch, pulling your arm back instinctively, and look down. A single, tiny red welt is already forming, inflamed and angry, joining a tapestry of older bites and scratches that cover your skin. It's just another insect bite, a familiar annoyance, but this time it seems to amplify the other discomforts, making your skin crawl with 1,000 tiny, unseen irritations. The constant, metallic buzz of insects, usually background noise, now feels like it's vibrating directly against your raw nerves. Your clothes, permanently damp and grimy, chafe against your skin, particularly around your shoulders and waist, where the fabric has worn thin. You feel the constant, unpleasant stickiness of sweat and jungle grime, a pervasive film that never truly goes away. A new sensation begins to emerge, a persistent, almost imperceptible itch on your lower back, spreading like a slow, insidious burn. You twist, trying to scratch it, to find some relief, but the awkward angle and the thick fabric make it impossible. Your mind immediately conjures images of fungal growths, of creeping parasites, the silent, invisible enemies that thrive in this relentless humidity. The smell of damp earth and decay is everywhere, but now it seems to carry a faint, acrid undertone, a smell that you're starting to associate with your own body's slow deterioration. Your muscles feel heavy, perpetually tired, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to alleviate. Even the taste in your mouth, usually metallic and earthy from the river water, now holds a subtle bitterness, a constant, low-grade reminder of your body's enduring struggle. Every breath feels thick, every movement a small, painful negotiation. You lean against a tree trunk, its rough bark digging into your back, offering little comfort. You close your eyes for a moment, trying to find a fleeting moment of peace, but the internal sensations are relentless. The throbbing arm, the persistent itch, the chafing skin, they are a constant, physical dialogue your body is having with the environment. You realize that survival here isn't just about avoiding immediate threats or finding food. It's a slow, grinding war of attrition against your own flesh, a battle against the insidious, constant decay that the jungle, in its relentless embrace, seems intent on inflicting. The constant ache in your arm, that persistent itch on your back, they're still there, a nagging chorus of discomfort. But now, a new sensation begins to emerge, subtle but undeniably present. It's a faint, cool tingling, a soothing balm that slowly spreads across your skin, pushing back against the burning irritation. The damp, earthy scent of the jungle is now overlaid with something sharper, more aromatic, a mix of crushed herbs and warm, damp earth. You're carefully applying a poultice, a thick, green paste made from pounded leaves, given to you by that silent figure. Your fingers, still rough and grimy, spread the cool, slick paste over the inflamed insect bites and the chafed areas. The texture is rough, fibrous, with tiny bits of plant matter, and it feels like a miracle against your raw skin. The immediate coolness quickly deepens into a profound, almost electric calm, drawing out the heat and the persistent itch. You can feel your muscles, tense for so long, slowly begin to relax under its influence, releasing the dull ache that had become a constant companion. The oppressive humidity, which usually makes your skin crawl, now feels less oppressive, almost an aid to the slow absorption of the remedy. You take a slow, deep breath, inhaling the complex scent. It's a powerful, almost medicinal aroma, sharp and bitter, yet profoundly natural, a scent that speaks of ancient wisdom and the jungle's own pharmacy. You can almost feel the plant essences seeping into your pores, a subtle but undeniable internal shift. The constant buzz of insects, usually an irritant, now seems to recede, a background hum to the quiet, focused ritual of healing. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sensations wash over you. The profound relief a sharp contrast to the persistent discomfort that preceded it. As you finish applying the paste, you carefully wrap the affected areas with broad, fresh leaves, secured with thin, supple vines, just as you saw them do. The leaves feel cool and protective, a natural dressing that allows your skin to breathe while holding the poultice in place. Your movements are slow, deliberate, each touch a mindful act of care. The dull ache in your arm seems to lessen, a subtle retreat of the pain, leaving behind a lingering warmth, a feeling of being mended. The oppressive weight of the jungle's incessant attacks, the slow decay of your flesh, feels momentarily halted, pushed back by the quiet power of these simple, natural remedies. You look at your hands, still dirty, but now applying care rather than fighting, and realize that the jungle, which has been your greatest adversary, can also, through its ancient wisdom, be a profound source of healing. Sometimes, survival isn't about brute force, but about learning to listen to the oldest voices in the wilderness, allowing them to mend what the chaos has broken. The air shifts around you, subtly, almost imperceptibly. The heavy, damp earth scent of the jungle remains. But now it's infused with something ethereal, something deeply resonant. A dry, almost powdery fragrance of ancient wood, crushed herbs, and a faint, sweet floral note that tickles the back of your throat. It's a smell that feels both incredibly old and profoundly alive, a perfume of memory. As you step forward, the ground beneath your boots feels different, firmer, less yielding than the usual slick mud, as if the earth itself has solidified, holding its breath. The pervasive hum of insects, a constant companion in the jungle, seems to dim, receding into a respectful hush. In its place you hear a low, resonant murmur, a sound that isn't quite wind, nor rushing water, but an almost vibrational hum that seems to emanate from the very trees themselves. A deep, collective sigh that vibrates through the air and into your bones. The light filtering through the canopy, usually dappled and chaotic, here takes on a softer, almost golden quality, illuminating the massive tree trunks and the intricately woven vines with an otherworldly glow. It feels as if you've stepped through an invisible curtain, into a space where time bends, where the air itself holds a different kind of energy. You pass beneath the colossal gnarled roots of an ancient tree, roots so thick and vast they form natural archways. Your fingers brush against their rough, moss-covered surface, and you feel a faint, almost electric current, a subtle energy that seems to pulse through the wood. The ground here is bare earth, swept clean, almost polished, and small, intricate patterns are etched into the soil. Swirls and lines that look deliberate, symbolic, perhaps ancient markings. You don't understand them, but you feel their weight, their significance. Your gaze is drawn to a central clearing, bathed in that soft, golden light. In the middle stands a single enormous tree, even larger than the others, its trunk impossibly wide, its branches reaching so high they disappear into the golden haze above. Around its base, carefully placed, are small offerings, bundles of dried leaves, polished stones, vibrant feathers, intricately carved pieces of wood. You feel a profound sense of peace here, a quiet awe that settles deep in your chest, momentarily silencing the relentless chatter of your mind. There's no fear, no urgency, just an overwhelming sense of stillness and ancient reverence. You touch a hand to your own chest, feeling the steady beat of your heart, a living pulse in this timeless space. The air is still, yet alive, resonating with an invisible power. You realize that this place isn't just a part of the jungle, it is the jungle's heart, a sanctuary, a place where the barrier between the physical and the spiritual feels incredibly thin. You've stumbled into a sacred space, a place of profound energy and unseen histories. You stand there, a stranger in a strange land, but for a fleeting moment, you feel a connection to something ancient and vast, a mystical aura that transcends the struggle of mere survival. Sometimes you realize the greatest battles are fought not with weapons, but by simply allowing yourself to feel the profound, unspoken power of the earth beneath your feet. You kneel slowly on the swept earth, the surprisingly firm ground cool against your heavy boots, a stark contrast to the yielding mud of the outer jungle. The air around you, infused with that ethereal, ancient scent of wood smoke and crushed herbs, seems to hum with a quiet energy, a palpable vibration that resonates deep in your chest. Your fingers trace the intricate patterns etched into the smooth earth at the base of the colossal tree, swirls, lines, and symbols that feel older than written history. You don't understand their meaning, but you feel their weight, their profound connection to a past, stretching back into time immemorial. Your gaze travels upwards, following the immense, gnarled trunk of the central tree as it spirals towards the canopy, its bark a rich tapestry of moss and lichen. You touch the offerings laid around its base, the smooth, dark stones, cool and silent, the vibrant feathers, delicate and brittle, the intricately carved wood, rough beneath your fingertips, telling stories without words. Each object feels imbued with a quiet significance, a fragment of devotion from countless hands, countless generations that have stood in this very spot. You can almost feel the presence of those who came before, a silent multitude gathered around this ancient sentinel. You close your eyes, taking a slow, deep breath. The sound of the jungle, a muted symphony outside this sacred space, seems to wash over you, no longer a threat, but a living, breathing entity that cradles this hallowed ground. In this moment, the insistent ache in your body, the gnawing hunger, the constant vigilance, all recede, replaced by a profound sense of stillness, a rare and precious peace. You feel a subtle warmth spreading through your hands, a faint, tingling sensation, as if the energy of the earth itself is flowing into you, connecting you to something vast and enduring. A memory flickers, a fragmented image of a time long past, a fleeting glimpse of something familiar, yet utterly lost. It's not a clear picture, but a feeling, a resonance of purpose, of belonging, that you haven't felt since your crash. The air around you feels dense with echoes, with the whispers of ancient rituals, of prayers murmured in forgotten tongues, of hands leaving offerings just like yours. You feel a sense of profound reverence for this place, for the deep, unbroken connection between this sacred ground and the people who have lived and died in its embrace. You open your eyes, the soft golden light still bathing the clearing, and look at your own hands, still grimed from your struggle, but now holding a profound sense of ancient connection. The jungle, which once felt like a relentless enemy, now reveals another layer, a deeper truth. It is not just chaos and danger, but also a source of immeasurable power, of healing, and of an ancient, unbroken spirit. You realize that sometimes, to understand where you are, you must first connect with where you've come from, not just as an individual, but as a part of a long, unbroken chain of humanity, standing on sacred ground that holds the echoes of time immemorial. The sun, a relentless hammer in the vast, pale sky, beats down through the gaps in the canopy, striking your exposed skin with a fierce, almost unbearable intensity. It's not just warm, it's a searing, oppressive heat that radiates through your clothes, making your heavy gear feel like a suffocating oven. Within moments, rivulets of sweat begin to trickle down your temples, pooling at your jawline, then tracing slow, burning paths down your back and chest. You can feel it, sticky and hot, soaking through your clothes, plastering the damp fabric to your skin. Every movement you make feels sluggish, an immense effort against the clinging heat and humidity. Your boots drag in the thick, damp earth, each step a testament to sheer willpower. The air itself feels thick, heavy, like trying to breathe a liquid, and your lungs burn with the sustained exertion. You can taste the salt of your own sweat on your lips, sharp and metallic, mingling with the deep, earthy tang of the jungle. Your head throbs, a dull, insistent ache behind your eyes, a constant reminder of the relentless solar assault. You push through a curtain of thick, waxy leaves, their surfaces hot to the touch, releasing a faint, sweet, almost sickly perfume that feels cloying in the oppressive heat. The sun's glare, even filtered, is blindingly bright, forcing you to squint, your eyes burning with the effort. You feel a familiar, persistent itch erupt on your arm, a fresh insect bite, but it's a minor irritation compared to the overwhelming, pervasive heat that seems to sap all strength, all energy from your limbs. Your muscles ache, not just from the constant movement, but from a profound, bone-deep exhaustion that seems to settle in your very core. The rhythmic hum of insects, usually a constant presence, now seems to pulse with the heat, a vibrating drone that amplifies your discomfort. You stop for a moment, pressing your hand against the rough bark of a tree, seeking a fleeting moment of coolness, but even the shaded bark feels warm, radiating the absorbed heat of the day. Your breathing is shallow, ragged, each inhale a conscious struggle, each exhale a desperate sigh. You lift your canteen, the water inside lukewarm, offering little more than a momentary dampness to your parched throat. You glance at the sky, an unbroken expanse of fierce, unyielding blue, and feel a profound sense of isolation. The jungle, usually a comforting embrace of green, now feels like a vast, suffocating greenhouse, intent on baking you alive. You're fighting not just against the environment, but against your own body's limits, against the creeping tide of heat stroke and exhaustion. You realize that sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't a predator or an aggressor, but the silent, relentless, overwhelming power of the very sun itself, demanding every ounce of your stubborn, defiant will to simply persist. The air around you isn't just warm. It's a living, breathing entity, a thick, suffocating blanket that presses in from all sides. It feels heavy, almost viscous, making every breath a conscious, strenuous effort, like trying to inhale through a damp sponge. Your lungs burn with the constant struggle to draw in enough oxygen, and each exhale feels like a desperate push against an invisible, humid wall. Your entire body is slick with sweat, a continuous, unrelenting flow that cascades down your face, stings your eyes, and soaks through every layer of your clothing, making the fabric cling to you like a second clammy skin. The heat radiates from every surface, the damp earth beneath your feet, the colossal tree trunks, the broad, waxy leaves that brush against your arms. It's an all-encompassing, oppressive warmth that seems to bake your very bones. You can feel your pulse throbbing at your temples, a quick, insistent beat that amplifies the dull ache behind your eyes. The salt of your sweat now coats your entire body, a gritty film that chafes against your skin with every slight movement, mingling with the deep, earthy, almost stagnant scent of the hot, humid jungle. You push aside a curtain of tangled vines, their slick surfaces feeling shockingly warm to the touch, and find no relief in the shade they offer. The air within their dense embrace is just as heavy, just as suffocating. The buzzing of unseen insects, usually a constant drone, seems louder now, a frantic, vibrating hum that feels like it's vibrating inside your skull, exacerbating the disorientation brought on by the relentless heat. Your vision blurs slightly, the vibrant greens of the foliage shimmering in the heat, an almost hallucinatory effect that makes it difficult to focus. You lean against the rough bark of a massive tree, pressing your forehead against its surprisingly warm surface, seeking any small comfort, any momentary respite. Your body trembles with the effort, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that sinks into your core, threatening to overwhelm you. Every muscle screams in protest, not from exertion, but from the sheer, relentless oppression of the environment. Even the water in your canteen, now warm and tasting faintly metallic, offers only a fleeting illusion of relief, as it barely moistens your parched throat. You glance up at the canopy, a solid, unbroken ceiling of green that seems to trap the heat, holding it captive, refusing to release it. The jungle feels like a vast, humid oven, slowly cooking you from the inside out. This isn't just about thirst or physical strain. It's a slow, insidious assault on your very will, a test of endurance against an opponent that is invisible, all-encompassing, and utterly indifferent to your struggle. You realize that sometimes the greatest adversary isn't something you can fight, but something you simply have to endure, minute by grueling minute, against the suffocating, relentless embrace of the very air itself. The air around you, thick with its familiar humid perfume of damp earth and decaying leaves, now carries a subtle, unsettling shift. It's a sense of repetition, of walking in circles, a disorienting echo that whispers in the back of your mind. You push aside a curtain of broad, waxy leaves, feeling their cool, slick surface, only to realize with a sudden, chilling jolt that you've seen this exact cluster before, the way the light filters through that particular gap, the distinctive tear in one of the leaves. Your heart gives a sudden, uneven thump against your ribs. Panic, cold and sharp, pricks at the edges of your composure. Your eyes dart frantically, straining to find something, anything, that looks new, unfamiliar. But it's an endless, undulating wall of green. Every tree trunk, every tangle of vines, every patch of moss-covered ground seems identical to the last. The sun, a distant, muffled presence above the canopy, offers no consistent direction, its light broken and diffused into 1,000 shifting patterns. You try to remember which way you came, which path you took, but the memories are a blur, dissolving into the overwhelming uniformity of the jungle. The sounds, usually a cacophony of life, now feel like a mocking, circular echo. The incessant buzz of insects, the distant squawking of birds, they seem to repeat, a looping soundtrack to your growing disorientation. You hear a low, guttural grunt, a familiar sound from an animal you've heard many times, but this time, it seems to come from all directions at once, bouncing off the dense foliage, utterly impossible to pinpoint. Your head begins to ache, a dull throb that vibrates with the insistent pressure of being lost. Your breathing grows shallow, ragged. Each inhale a desperate, futile attempt to find clarity in the suffocating green. You press your hands against a rough tree trunk, its bark feeling surprisingly cold beneath your trembling fingers, a small anchor in this swirling madness. You close your eyes for a moment, trying to recenter yourself, to quiet the rising tide of fear. But when you open them, the world is still the same, an unending, featureless maze of green, the path ahead indistinguishable from the path behind. The taste in your mouth is metallic, sharp with adrenaline, mingled with the bitter tang of futility. You take a tentative step, then another, forcing yourself to move. But with each stride, the chilling certainty grows. You are utterly, completely lost. The jungle, which once felt like a challenge, now feels like a vast, insidious trap. Its beauty, a cruel deception. Its abundance, a prison. It's not about physical pain or direct threat now. It's about the terrifying erosion of certainty, the slow, agonizing realization that your sense of direction, your very connection to the world, has been swallowed by the relentless, all-consuming green. You realize that sometimes the most profound fear isn't of an enemy you can fight, but of an enemy that simply exists, vast and indifferent, twisting your reality into a disorienting, inescapable labyrinth. The crushing weight of being utterly hopelessly lost in the jungle, it still presses down on you, a physical ache behind your eyes, a dull throb in your head. Each heavy step churns the slick mud, feeling less like progress and more like a slow, agonizing surrender to the unending green. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, your lungs burning, your body a symphony of exhaustion and despair. The pervasive, humid scent of damp earth and decay has become a suffocating constant, filling your every inhale with the taste of futility. You stumble, catching yourself against a thick, moss-covered tree, feeling its rough, damp surface scrape against your cheek. Just as the thought of simply collapsing, of giving in to the overwhelming sameness, begins to take root, a new scent, subtle yet piercing, pricks through the monotony. It's a faint, metallic tang, sharper than the usual iron smell of damp earth, almost electrical, a scent of exposed ore perhaps, or something worked. It cuts through the organic perfume, undeniable and out of place. Your head snaps up, a flicker of something, curiosity, defiance, stirring deep within your weary core. You push forward, not with hope, but with an almost mechanical compulsion, drawn by this alien aroma. The ground shifts beneath your feet, becoming rockier, less yielding, the mud giving way to patches of rough, uneven stone, slick with moisture. The constant, metallic buzz of insects recedes, replaced by a new sound, a low, consistent drip, but not the random patter of water from leaves. This is a rhythmic, almost deliberate drip, echoing in the denser air, suggesting an enclosed space. Your vision, blurred by exhaustion, struggles to pierce the gloom, but the light ahead is visibly fading, not into darkness, but into a heavy, artificial shadow. You push aside a final curtain of heavy, velvety moss and step into a different world. The air here is colder, distinctly cooler, carrying that sharp metallic scent with an almost palpable intensity, and an unexpected dryness that stings your nostrils. Before you, partially swallowed by ancient vines and immense tree roots, is an opening, a gaping maw carved not by nature, but by something deliberate, something structured. It's the entrance to a cavern, or perhaps a forgotten tunnel, its edges rough-hewn stone, streaked with dark mineral deposits that gleam faintly. From within, a low, consistent hum resonates, a mechanical thrum that sends a jolt of pure, disbelieving energy through your entire body. You lean against the cold, damp stone of the entrance, feeling the subtle vibration of that hum through your palm. The darkness inside isn't absolute. Faint, flickering lights, green and red, pulse in the depths, like the eyes of some ancient, dormant beast. The air tastes of cool stone, damp earth, and that unmistakable metallic tang of forgotten machinery, of technology. Your fatigue, for a precious moment, vanishes, replaced by a profound, almost dizzying sense of discovery. You're no longer just lost. You've stumbled upon a secret, an unexpected breach in the jungle's endless embrace. You realize that sometimes being utterly lost isn't the end, but merely the convoluted, desperate path to finding something entirely new, something that might just change everything. The oppressive humidity, the clinging scent of damp earth, the incessant buzz of insects, they all suddenly feel distant. Your senses, sharpened by weeks of primal survival, are now strangely muted, as if a soft veil has been drawn between you and the relentless jungle. A faint, almost ghost-like whisper touches your ears, not a jungle sound, but something metallic, rhythmic, a distant echo of engines, of city life, of a world you barely remember. It's a phantom sensation, a memory stirring from deep within your battered mind. You taste something in the back of your throat, Not the metallic tang of blood or the earthy bitterness of mud, but something clean, almost sterile, a faint hint of processed food, of synthetic air. It's a taste that shouldn't be here, a fleeting phantom from another life. Your eyes, accustomed to the endless, shifting green, now struggle to focus. The vibrant foliage seems to blur, to lose its sharp edges, replaced by fleeting, almost transparent images of hard, gray lines, of concrete structures, of distant, indifferent lights. It's like a faulty projection flickering across the dense jungle canvas. A wave of profound exhaustion washes over you, deeper than mere physical fatigue. It's a mental weariness, a longing for something you can't quite grasp. You feel a strange kind of comfort, fleeting and unsettling, a warmth that isn't the oppressive jungle heat, but the imagined warmth of a familiar room, a solid floor beneath your feet, a ceiling that isn't a canopy of leaves. Your fingers, calloused and scraped, feel a phantom smooth, cold surface, the texture of a manufactured wall, a clean, dry metal panel. It's a touch from a world that seems impossibly far away, yet achingly close. The persistent itch of insect bites, the chafing of damp clothes, even the dull ache in your muscles. They all recede, becoming minor static in the overwhelming flood of these fading visions. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to try and bring those fleeting images into sharper focus, to grasp onto the edges of a reality that feels increasingly like a dream. You see faces, not clearly, but as blurred outlines, shapes of people you knew, people who moved in that other world of concrete and calm. Their voices are a soft murmur, just beyond the edge of hearing, a comforting, familiar sound that you can't quite catch. You open your eyes again, and the jungle is still there, green and vibrant and undeniably real, but for a moment it feels like a mere backdrop, an elaborate stage for these haunting, beautiful echoes of the past. The weight of your own existence, your desperate struggle, feels momentarily suspended. You realize that even in the heart of the most primal wilderness, the human mind carries its own ghost cities, its own fading visions of home, a persistent, tender ache for the comfort and familiarity of a world that may now only exist in the realm of memory. And sometimes those memories are the most powerful forces of all, pulling you back even as the jungle tries to swallow you whole. The fleeting phantom of those city lights, the whisper of distant engines, they cling to your mind like an insistent dream, even as the raw, humid air of the jungle presses in with renewed intensity. The smell of damp earth and decay, usually so overwhelming, now seems to carry a faint, almost heartbreaking echo of something clean, something sterile, a ghost of manufactured air that lingers on the edge of your perception. You instinctively reach out, your calloused fingers brushing against the rough bark of a colossal tree, but for a split second, you feel the smooth, cold surface of polished steel, a phantom touch from a lost world. The contrast is jarring, a sharp, bitter pang that twists in your gut. You close your eyes, trying to recapture the warmth of that imagined room, the solid, unyielding feel of concrete beneath your boots. But the relentless, metallic buzz of insects, the distant, guttural cries of unseen animals, they refuse to be silenced, pulling you back, brutally, into the vivid, undeniable reality of the Amazon. Each sound is a painful reminder of the vast, terrifying chasm that separates your current existence from the one that haunts your memories. You open your eyes, and the endless, vibrant green of the jungle stretches before you, overwhelming and absolute. No gray lines, no distant, indifferent lights, just the dense, suffocating embrace of untamed nature. Your clothes, perpetually damp and grimy, feel heavier now, a physical manifestation of the weight of your predicament. The persistent itch of insect bites, the dull ache in your muscles, they return with a renewed, insistent discomfort, grounding you in the painful physicality of your survival. You swallow, your throat dry and tight, and taste only the metallic tang of thirst and the earthy bitterness of mud, a stark contrast to that fleeting phantom of processed food. You look down at your hands, rough and stained, and then at the tattered remnants of your combat gear, a grim testament to the life you once led. It's all so profoundly out of place here, a relic from a world that seems to have vanished, leaving you marooned in a primeval past. A profound longing washes over you, not just for comfort or safety, but for the simple familiarity of that lost reality, for the easy predictability of concrete and controlled environments. It's a bittersweet ache, a deep yearning for a life that feels impossibly distant, perhaps even an illusion. You press your palm against the damp earth, feeling its cool, living energy, but your mind still grapples with the phantom warmth of a home that may no longer exist. The silence of the jungle when it falls between animal calls feels heavier now, filled with the unspoken questions of memory and loss. You realize that even as you fight for every breath, every meal, every step in this relentless wilderness, a part of you will forever be tethered to those fading visions, forever caught in the painful, beautiful chasm between what is and what was, longing for a lost reality even as you stubbornly, desperately cling to the brutal, beautiful present. A new scent, vibrant and utterly distinct, slices through the oppressive, earthy perfume of the jungle. It's sweet, almost sickly, but also resinous and clean, like a fresh wound on living wood. It's sap, undeniably, but a type you haven't encountered before. A fragrance that speaks of life and something recently disturbed. Your head snaps up, your nostrils flaring, trying to pinpoint its source amidst the suffocating humidity and the usual cocktail of damp earth and decay. Your usual exhaustion, the dull throb behind your eyes, momentarily recedes, replaced by a sharp, invigorating jolt of pure curiosity. You push forward, drawn by the strange, compelling aroma. Your boots squelch in the thick mud, but your steps are more purposeful now, less aimless. Your eyes scan the dense emerald wall ahead, searching for any break in the endless uniformity. The incessant buzz of insects, usually a maddening drone, seems to fade into the background, drowned out by the internal echo of that strange, sweet smell. You brush aside a curtain of heavy, broad leaves, feeling their slick, cool surface, and the scent intensifies, becoming almost overwhelming. A beacon in the green labyrinth. Then you see it. Not just a tree, but a colossal trunk, impossibly wide, its ancient bark scarred by a long, fresh gash. From the wound, a thick, milky white sap oozes slowly, dripping onto the mossy ground with a soft, rhythmic plop. But it's not just the wound. Around the tree, the undergrowth is visibly thinned, almost as if a path has been carefully, recently cleared. The ground here is firmer, packed down by what looks like repeated footfalls, leading deeper into what had seemed like an impenetrable thicket. You reach out, cautiously, your fingers brushing against the sticky, cool sap. It feels strangely alive, its texture thick and slightly viscous. The scent here is potent, almost intoxicating, filling your lungs with a deep, earthy sweetness. Your gaze follows the cleared path, a subtle, almost invisible trail that winds between ancient roots and colossal ferns. It's not a path carved by animals. It's too deliberate, too organized, too human. A spark of something, fragile but insistent, ignites deep within your chest. It's a promise, a faint glimmer of a way forward that isn't just random wandering. The persistent ache in your muscles, the chafing of your damp clothes, they all recede for a moment. Your mind, which had been trapped in the endless loop of survival, now races with new possibilities. This isn't just a sign of life. It's a sign of purposeful life, a potential conduit out of the oppressive chaos. You take a deep, shaky breath, filling your lungs with that sweet, hopeful scent of sap, a silent testament to the resilience of this ancient world and the tenacious spirit that might yet thrive within it. You realize that sometimes a single unexpected scent isn't just a smell, it's a whisper of possibility, a genesis of hope, leading you towards a path you didn't even know existed. The faint, almost electrical tang of the distant hum from that mysterious cavern still tickles your senses, a persistent whisper of the world you lost. But now, it's joined by another, more immediate scent, the sharp, resinous aroma of freshly cut wood, mingled with the earthy dampness of the jungle and the metallic tang of your own sweat. Your hands, calloused and scraped, are now gripping a crude, sharpened piece of salvaged metal, a repurposed blade from your wreckage, its edge honed against rock. You strike it against a fallen log, feeling the solid impact, the shudder of decaying wood, and the faint vibration that travels up your arm. Your body moves with a grim, focused determination, a blend of primal effort and desperate ingenuity. The dense, humid air feels heavy in your lungs, but each breath is a fuel for the relentless task at hand. You're not building a shelter this time. You're building a vessel. You're carving a rudimentary dugout, using the softened, waterlogged trunk of a massive, fallen tree. Splinters fly with each powerful blow, sharp fragments of wood stinging your face and arms, but you barely notice. The rhythmic thwack of your makeshift tool against the wood is a monotonous, yet strangely satisfying sound that cuts through the incessant jungle hum. The inside of the log is soft, pulpy, easily gouged, releasing a fresh, sweet, almost sickly aroma of raw wood. Your muscles scream in protest, a deep, burning ache spreading through your shoulders and back with the repetitive, back-breaking labor. Sweat pours down your face, stinging your eyes, but you keep going, driven by a fierce, unyielding will. Your hands are slick with moisture, wood pulp, and new blisters, raw and tender, yet they continue to wield the crude tool with an almost desperate precision. You can feel the rough, fibrous texture of the wood, shaping it, slowly, into something hollow, something that might float. The ground around you is a mess of wood chips, mud, and torn leaves. Flies buzz around, attracted by the dampness and the disturbed earth. But you're in a trance, lost in the singular, all-consuming focus of creation. You stop for a moment, pressing your hand against the rough, exterior bark of the nascent vessel, feeling its immense, immovable weight. It's crude, far from elegant, but it is taking shape, a testament to pure, stubborn grit. You glance towards the distant river, its powerful murmur, a constant reminder of the formidable journey ahead, but also a beacon of potential escape. You lean back, taking a slow, shaky breath, and look at the half-carved log. It's a desperate gamble, a fragile bid for freedom, but it's a tangible step, a defiance against the endless, swallowing green. You realize that sometimes true hope isn't found in a clear path, but in the raw, arduous act of forging your own, painstakingly, with nothing but your bare hands and an unshakable will to push forward, no matter the cost. The air around you is a suffocating mix of damp earth, the sharp metallic tang of the river, and the acrid scent of your own desperate exertion. Your muscles scream in protest, a constant, burning ache that vibrates with every strained breath. You're pushing the crude, heavy dugout through the thick, sucking mud of the riverbank, each inch a monumental effort against the stubborn earth. The wood scrapes and grinds against unseen roots and submerged stones, a grating, protesting sound that grates on your raw nerves. Your feet sink deep, the cold, wet mud clinging to your boots, threatening to pull them off, to trap you in its relentless embrace. Your hands, raw and blistered from the carving, are now slick with mud and sweat, gripping the rough edges of the log. The weight of the vessel feels immense, impossibly heavy, a testament to its raw, unrefined nature. You push, you grunt, you strain, every fiber of your being focused on this singular, agonizing task. The constant drone of insects, the distant calls of unseen birds, they're all just a blurred backdrop to the symphony of your own struggle. The ragged gasps for air, the pounding of your heart, the burning in your lungs. Then, a sudden, sharp splash. The dugout hits the water with a heavy thud, sending a spray of murky brown liquid into your face. The water is surprisingly cold, a shocking slap that clears your head for a second, stinging your eyes. The current, stronger than it looked from the bank, immediately tugs at the log, trying to pull it downstream, trying to snatch it away before you even have a chance to board. You brace yourself, your feet digging into the slick riverbed, holding the vessel steady against the insistent pull. You scramble aboard, the rough wood scraping against your shins, your body swaying precariously as the dugout bobs and pitches with the current. The water immediately begins to seep in, a cold, wet surprise that pools at your feet. You grab a broad, flat piece of bark, your makeshift paddle, and plunge it into the churning current. The resistance is immense, the water thick and heavy, pulling at the crude paddle, trying to wrench it from your grasp. You push, you pull, your muscles screaming, your teeth gritted, trying to guide the ungainly vessel away from the bank, away from the grasping roots and submerged logs that line the shore. The river itself is a living, breathing gauntlet. Debris, thick as small trees, drifts past, propelled by the powerful current, threatening to capsize your fragile craft. You taste the muddy water that splashes into your mouth, bitter and earthy. Your arms ache with the sustained, frantic paddling, a desperate rhythm against the immense, indifferent force of the river. You realize, as you fight for every inch of progress against this roaring, turbulent path, that this isn't just a journey. It's a final, brutal test of everything you've learned, everything you've endured. This is the jungle's ultimate challenge, a symphony of struggle, a final gauntlet that demands every last ounce of your stubborn, defiant will to survive. Your arms are burning, a searing, relentless ache that vibrates deep in your shoulders, forearms, and wrists. Your lungs gasp for air, raw and desperate. Each inhale a sharp, tearing pain. Each exhale a shuddering release. You fall back against the rough, wet wood of the dugout, your makeshift paddle clattering uselessly to the bottom. For a moment, you can do nothing but surrender to the overwhelming wave of exhaustion that washes over you, heavy and complete. The metallic tang of blood and sweat is thick in your mouth, mingling with the earthy taste of the river water that still sloshes around your feet. But then, you feel it. A subtle, almost imperceptible shift. The dugout is moving. No longer are you fighting for every inch, straining against the stubborn mud or the grasping current near the bank. The powerful, indifferent flow of the river has taken hold, pulling the crude vessel downstream, carrying you with it. The sensation is exhilarating, terrifying, a surrender to a force far greater than yourself. The relentless roar of the current, which moments ago was an enemy, now feels like a booming, triumphant drumbeat, a symphony of progress. You lift your head, slowly, your vision blurred by sweat and exertion, and look back. The dense green wall of the jungle, once an impenetrable barrier, is slowly, steadily receding. The tangled roots, the towering trees, the sucking mud, they're all shrinking, becoming a distant, indistinct mass, a memory of the gauntlet you just survived. A profound wave of relief washes over you, so potent it almost brings tears to your burning eyes. You made it. You pushed through. Your hands, raw and blistered from the furious paddling, are slick with river water and the grime of the struggle. You run a thumb over a particularly painful blister on your palm, feeling the tender skin, a stark reminder of the sheer physical cost of your escape. Your entire body aches, a chorus of bruises, scrapes, and strains, a living map of the battle you just fought. But beneath the pain, there's a deep, almost primal satisfaction, a sense of hard-won victory that hums in your very bones. The air on the open river is cooler, less humid, carrying the scent of vast, moving water and distant, fresh greenery. It's a breath of relative freedom. You look forward to the wide, swirling expanse of the river, reflecting the vast, pale sky. The jungle still looms on both banks, an endless, indifferent behemoth, but now it's a boundary, not a prison. The dugout bobs gently, a fragile, unstable craft, but it's your craft, painstakingly forged. You realize that this fragile victory, this hard-won freedom, isn't clean or easy. It's messy, painful, and etched deep into your flesh and spirit. A lingering scar that will forever mark the brutal cost of your continued fight to simply exist. And in this place, sometimes, those scars are the most precious proof of all. The familiar rhythmic pull of the current against your crude dugout, which had been your constant companion, slowly begins to wane. A new scent, faint but distinct, reaches your nostrils. Not just the vast moving water of the river, nor the dense, earthy perfume of the jungle, but a drier, almost sandy aroma touched with something mineral. Your muscles, still aching from the struggle, stir with a renewed, cautious energy. You open your eyes, which feel gritty and heavy-lidded, and look ahead. The endless, swirling brown of the river water slowly gives way to a long, low line of solid ground. It's a shoreline, not a dense, impenetrable wall of green, but a more open expanse, edged with scraggly bushes and sparser, more resilient trees. The light here is brighter, less diffused by an overhead canopy, flooding the air with a clean, almost stark brilliance. The roaring murmur of the river, though still powerful, feels less overwhelming, its sound merging with the distant, almost gentle rustle of leaves in a steady breeze. The dugout scrapes against something solid, a soft thud that vibrates through the rough wood, and then again, a gentle bump. You've reached the bank. You push off with your hands, feeling the yielding sand beneath your palms, a texture utterly different from the slick, grasping mud you've become accustomed to. You swing your legs over the side, feeling the cold, wet sand cushion your bare feet as you step out of the vessel. The ground beneath you is firm, stable, a profound contrast to the rocking uncertainty of the river and the treacherous grip of the jungle floor. You stumble forward a few steps, your legs stiff and trembling, unused to the solid stability of land. You drop to your knees, feeling the fine, dry grit of the sand between your fingers, a surprising, almost comforting texture. The scent of the air here is cleaner, fresher, a mix of sand, sun, and the faint, salty tang of distant water, utterly devoid of the oppressive, humid sweetness of decay. You close your eyes, taking a deep, shuddering breath, filling your lungs with air that tastes of freedom, of open space. When you open them again, the world feels different. Behind you, the river stretches out, a vast, powerful highway, and beyond it, the intimidating, endless green of the jungle. But ahead, the shoreline extends, offering a new, unknown path. You look down at your hands, rough, scarred, and still stained with the grime of your journey. Your clothes are tattered, your body aches, but there's a new resilience in your posture, a quiet strength in your eyes. This isn't just a new place. It's a culmination, a testament to profound internal change. You realize that sometimes, after fighting through the fiercest chaos, the greatest discovery isn't a new territory, but the changed, hardened, undeniably more resilient person you've become along the way. The cool, dry grit of the sand beneath your bare feet feels impossibly real, a profound contrast to the sucking mud and treacherous roots that defined your every step just hours ago. The air, crisp and clean with the vastness of the open river, no longer carries the dense, suffocating perfume of decay and damp earth. Yet, an invisible presence lingers. You can still faintly smell the sharp metallic tang of ozone from the recent storms, a ghost of the jungle's raw power, and an almost imperceptible sweetness from distant, unseen blossoms, now filtered and softened by the wide-open expanse. Your senses feel recalibrated, forever tuned to frequencies you never knew existed. You stand at the edge of the river, the powerful, indifferent current flowing past, and look back. The jungle, that sprawling, emerald behemoth, rises in the distance, a formidable, unbroken wall of green. It's no longer a claustrophobic prison. From this new vantage, it's a living, breathing entity, immense and ancient, its dangers still vivid in your mind, but now observed from a place of uneasy separation. You close your eyes for a moment, and instantly, the memory of its humidity presses in. The metallic buzz of unseen insects vibrates in your ears. The taste of mud coats your tongue. It's an imprint, burned into your very being. You open your eyes and glance down at your hands. They are rough, calloused, a map of countless scrapes, cuts, and insect bites, the scars of your relentless journey. The skin is darker, tougher, the nails broken and grimed. These aren't the hands you arrived with. They are the hands forged by the Amazon, hands that have learned to carve, to climb, to fight, to hunt, to heal with raw earth and leaves. Your combat gear, what little remains, hangs in tatters, its advanced materials rendered useless by the sheer, grinding force of nature, replaced by the resilience of your own flesh. The quiet murmur of the river and the soft rustle of dry leaves along the bank now feel like a calming lullaby, a stark contrast to the cacophony of fear and the deafening roars of conflict you once navigated. Your perception of time, once rigidly structured, has shifted, flowing with the rhythm of sun and moon, hunger and thirst, danger and fleeting peace. What was once mundane has become a profound luxury, a clean breath, solid ground, the warmth of unfiltered sun. You turn away from the receding green veil, facing the unknown horizon. The Amazon may be behind you, but it's still profoundly digs within you. You carry its dust, its scents, its scars, and its lessons. The fear hasn't vanished, but it's different now, tempered by a raw, unshakable self-reliance. You realize that you didn't just survive the Amazon. The Amazon survived you, and in doing so it changed you, irrevocably, imprinting its wild, ancient soul onto your own. You are no longer merely a survivor. You are an extension of its untamed spirit, forever bound to the green heart of the world.